Tired of trying to shop for your friends and family? Let us help you find the perfect gift that will make anyone in your family happy. Just log on to www.swiftpenguincreations.com today to find the perfect Christmas gift. Order now and save 10% with code Hoosier500.
It is Go Fast weekend at the racing capital of the world, and today we lock in the pole sitter for next week's running of the PRI Hoosier 500. For the rest of the field will find themselves locked in on bump day tomorrow. Let's focus on Swift Penguins Creations pole day here on the PRI channels live on RaceBot TV. Hi folks, Arjuna Kankipati, delighted to have your company here as we return to this fabled racetrack and challenge drivers. Around 4 laps, 2.5 miles each, and 4 turns. It sounds simple, it's anything but. Arjuna Kankipati alongside of Gary Godso and Andrew Wood. And Gary, you've been alongside on the run-up to this qualifying weekend. Practices all the way through, and now tension builds as we head into the final hour of this first day of the weekend.
Hey, being fast doesn't guarantee you anything during the week. It's what you do today. And the fastest driver for the open test, the fastest driver on day one, already eliminated, his 3 runs complete. But it is all a power slide, private label, team hype front row provisionally with Robert Malechka, Philip Kraus, and Jason Brophy commanding the front row a la Team Penske 88 2024.
It goes all the way back to 6th position for the time being. 9 of the top 10 are power slide motorsports representatives. Andrew, you are someone who's no stranger to qualifying here at the Speedway, and you can attest to the challenge. I remember talking to Zach Campbell, who has raced at the top level of sim racing, the Porsche Esports Super Cup, and he said his qualifying runs in the Hoosier 500 going back 5-6 years ago were the most stressful laps of his sim racing career.
Yeah, Arjuna, thanks for having me along with you guys today. It's qualifying for the Hoosier 500, the old Open Wheels 500, is the most stressful thing you could do, because not only do you only have 3 opportunities to make the field, but you know everybody that's waiting in line is watching you. So it's much different than just doing this as a regular sign up for an official session. You have everybody that is in the competition watching your 4 laps, and if any small mistake during your 4 laps gets you in trouble, now you have to go back and do it all over again.
And the best part about it is the jeopardy, which is not something on display in the month of May when we have the great iRacing Indy 500. Now, 14 years of history there. We are slowly building our own chapter with this PRI Hoosier 500, though. 3 attempts across the weekend. Every new attempt withdraws your previous time. The most interesting part, of course, the fastest 33 make the race, but times from day 1 grid ahead of those that qualifying on day number 2, and only 1 driver locked in. And so, Gary, as we head into this final 45 minutes or so, the queue relatively quiet for the time being, and the gap on the cut line a mere 0.02 of a second across the 4-lap average.
Yeah, you're looking at on the tree there, 33, that's kind of where the bubble is. But I was talking with some other teams out there between sessions, and if you look at Kyle Clinworth, former Oval Series, iRacing Oval Series champion, right there, Clindy and Ricky Paz. That's where everyone is kind of ballparking where you need to be faster than one of those 2 guys in order to almost guarantee your spot in the field, at least to make it through today in the field at 33, and then we worry about Sunday on Sunday. So pay attention to the 25th to 26th spots, but 33rd, there is very little difference. Everyone is on it. Everyone really brought their A game for qualifying this year. There's very no surprises in the fastest 33.
Absolutely. We are just getting underway with the next runs on deck, so we'll get to that in just a few moments' time. But let's quickly touch on The schedule for the 2025 PRI Hoosier 500. Already the week of practice in the books, and the field will be whittled down into the 33 that will head into practice on Monday on the Elite Racing Network Shakedown Saturday, and plenty of other festivities, including the Veterans 100, the pit stop competition as well. That will be on the Saturday, December 13th on P1 Broadcasting before race day. All starts at 11 a.m. Eastern, a full set of pre-race festivities as we build ourselves up towards the green flag. So much to look forward to. And Andrew, I think this is where there's also something that we should touch on. The fact that on Tuesday, after the final practice session that will be broadcast, there's a major change coming to the iRacing sim, and therefore the hybrid introduced, or the race setups are going to have to be reintroduced and reworked. It's going to be an interesting couple of days for those that qualify, thrashing to get their race cars ready.
Introducing a hybrid motor, hybrid engine right before a race is definitely going to make a lot of people scramble. So I'm sure that there wasn't a lot of race setup availability going on amongst a lot of the teams. It's more the focus of getting into the race, figure out the other stuff after, because yes, you may feel like you're a little bit behind the 8 ball if you're trying to figure out how the hybrid works and what the best setup for your car is and how easy it is to translate. But you know everybody's on the same playing field. So just do it better than everybody else around you, and that may be the best advantage that you have going into this race.
You make it sound so simple, but the reality is in sim racing, you have unlimited practice time, right, Andrew? And that's where things become more different. Of course, in the month of May, they have plenty of practice in the real world. This takes it to another level.
You always think that, okay, there's something that's new that's being put onto the car that might just be easily translated if I move something in the ballast back, or I change a front wing angle, or I maybe just change a tiny bit of crossweight. If those little things that you have to just adjust for a new implementation of the car pay off, then it's very, very easy. But if you say, oh my goodness, I have to change so many things, and you start going down the rabbit hole of I was this fast and now I'm maybe this much faster or this much slower, is that the same amount of difference than the other teams have? So it's going to be very, very stressful for some folks, but those that work together and those that have the group of guys that are determined to have the best race possible will rise to the top here.
And that's where having teammates, the strength in numbers, probably will be handy for the Powerslide teammates that currently sit at the top of the qualifying standings as we get ready to head into the final runs on pole day. And again, only the pole sitter are going to be qualified in, so everybody else watching rather nervously at what is about to unfold. Let's talk some stats, Gary, while we wait, because one of the great things that Tanner Watkins, Ryan Schold, the, back to being present owners of the Hoosier 500 after taking back ownership after last year's event, they put a great annual, a digital program out, a suite of qualifying statistics, and one thing I loved, look how tight it has been through the field of 33 through our qualifying, less than a mile an hour in all 4 years.
Oh my God, the first of all, we'll talk about the speeds here in a second, but the annual, the program, if you've ever been to the real Indianapolis Motor Speedway and you got their actual Indy 500 program, comes out every year, how thick it is and all the stats and everything, all that is in the virtual program. You got to check it out. They spend a ton of time, and it's so great, and all these statistics. But you look at how close everything has been from top to bottom every year that they've had this race. And I think a lot of that has to do with how long this car has been on the service. There hasn't been very many major changes to it. Okay, we add an aero screen here. That changes a little bit of things. That just overall makes the car a little bit heavier and changes adds a little bit more drag and changes the balance of the car. The weight of the point of gravity, or the center point of gravity of the car, is now different because of where the aero screen is. But everything is so close because we've had the car for so long that some of these setups have been around for quite a while. So we're not really going to see any changes in setups until we get this new car literally next week. But everything until now, has been pretty much everyone has been one on top of one another because of how long we've had this car.
Now, I will say, as a member of the Powerslide Motorsports contingent, that it's not to say that they haven't had to do some work on the setup year on year. However, you are correct that the effort definitely lessens compared to when the full suite of changes are going to be thrown at them on, I'm going to say Tuesday afternoon, but the reality is sometimes these updates can push a little bit longer into the evening, and surely the stress will start to build. So it's going to be Sheridan Wade that will be first up in our primetime coverage here on the PRI channels on what is a very exciting day. Swift Penguins pole day will lock in the pole sitter, and already we have seen a whole handful of runs, I think going on close to 90-something runs. And so Sheridan's going to head out, and a slightly different format, Andrew, than those that race in the iRacing Indy 500 will be familiar with. You'll do a full out lap, a warm-up lap, which has to be done at a minimum of 200 miles an hour, and then off and away for your 4 timed attempts.
Adding that extra little bit of run there definitely makes things a lot more stressful. Going back to the whole everybody watching you situation, you have to change your setup a little bit more fuel to do that extra warm-up lap, and just kind of gives a little extra layer of, okay, how fast am I going on this warm-up lap? There are certain criteria you need to follow as you're coming to the line and everything. So there's lots of different things that are into play there. And yeah, much different, but also very much more realistic of how the real life IndyCar drivers do it, which is a very, very nice addition to this event.
And already some big players have been called out by some of those formalities. Jason Brophy, he sits third, lines up provisionally outside of the front row. Well, he got dinged for dropping below that 200 miles an hour. It can happen to the best of us. Wind up the speed, but crucially here, Gary, you're trying to preserve your tires, because come lap 4, if you haven't been minding the Firestones, they will be screaming out from underneath you as you exit turn 4 for the final time.
You would have thought that 4 laps, 10 miles, 16 turns around here, and you have to really worry about tire management. And that is a huge part of this game. I mean, those that can manage the tires over the first couple of laps, you'll have more tire to allow your car to make it turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 on the other end, when most everyone else is they've got them so hot that they can't handle through those corners and late in the run. So those that can manage their tires are going to have a more consistent run over, might not be as fast, but it might be more consistent over a period of 10 miles.
Let's get the first of our runs here on the PRI channels. Pole day already, probably our pole sitter locked in, Rob Malechka, with a run about an hour ago. Sheridan Wade's going to carve out through turn 1, sweep out to the wall. And it's looking steady below the white line as he cuts down through 2. Doesn't track all the way out, but it's steady so far, Andrew.
Keeps it very, very clean, and that shows that the car is very much planted to the ground for the first couple laps, which is what every driver wants, because there's nothing really to worry about when you're doing your money laps. But we'll have to see how it goes for the final 2 laps here, because that's when the car might start to get a little bit more dicey. Either that, or you got to find a little bit more speed to account for the extra tire wear.
The lap times will pop up as they get entered by the team at race control, so don't fret if it takes a moment or 2 for them to appear. 39.335 on lap number 1. If you're wondering what the pole time was, well, Rob Malechka first lap 39.341. So Sheridan Wade actually relatively competitive on that opening lap, but like Gary mentioned earlier, it's all about the fall off. Steady on the steering, being proactive on those in-car tools. And out of turn 4, half the run already complete, Gary.
And we're going to have to ask Andrew, especially how to handle the tools in this race. It's more than just turning left and planting your foot and hoping that these wings and downforce keep you planted. These guys are like pilots. They are shifting knobs, turning buttons, or turning knobs, shifting gears, you name it. They're doing everything in the cockpit to keep these cars just to turn left. But Andrew, I'll throw it to you real quick. There's more than just turning left and planting your foot in these cars.
I'm so glad you asked, Gary. I'm actually, when we were on this onboard right now, I'm actually watching the steering wheel movement, because, yes, you're turning a lot of buttons and knobs and everything like that, but watching how much the wheel is wiggling is a good indication of how much mini scrub you have going on, too. And that's something, personally, for my Indy qualifying that I've had to work on. You pretty much just have to turn the car once and leave the steering wheel in one spot. And if any little extra turn in the wheel gives just a little bit more scrub than you want, and it's so much harder to do than just saying it. It's saying, okay, I just turn the wheel once and leave it, but right. The wall is there, the grass is on one other side, so that's the key to being as fast as you possibly can. Very, very hard to do.
It's been relatively steady. I will correct myself. Rob Malechka's opening lap was at 39.248, so Sheridan about 900ths off of that, but out through the final quarter and 4 laps complete from Sheridan Wade, who's only got 1 lap left in reserve. Where will this put them on the board? 5.14 the average on the bubble, and he finds himself 4 thousandths adrift. He was slot into 36th, and now he's got to decide, does he want to risk it one final time today, Gary, and use all 3 of his runs before pole day comes to an end?
Now that you're down to 1, you got to leave 1 bullet for tomorrow, and maybe head back to the drawing board tonight, do some private testing offline someplace. But 2:27.7 with his 4-lap average on the speed. You would think that's fast enough, but not today. And I would say, personally, save that bullet for tomorrow. If he was already in the field, I would say, if you think it could go faster, go now. But with 1 last bullet left, I would say go tomorrow.
I think the other thing is, if you feel like you lost time with your driving, then maybe you can go again. But if you think there's time to dial in setup-wise, then probably not worth risking another run. Because as soon as the clock strikes 7:50 p.m. Eastern, the virtual gun, will go off. If you're on track, you can finish your run, but that will be it. The day will be done, and our pole sitter will be locked in, and we'll get a chance to chat with them as well. Here goes Michael Robinson in the number 26, representing Hutchport Phantom Racing and the JVM Graphics All-Star 15 TV NDNT podcast, WWN podcast. Oh, he's got lots of supporters on board and now got to focus up as he gets ready to go. I've got a question for you, Andrew, which is that in iRacing, we're jumping between virtual qualifying sessions, resetting the track state, but is there any advantage to going out earlier or waiting until slightly later on?
That's always kind of the elusive thing that we've always wondered going into events like this, because a fresh track sometimes has something a little bit different than a track that has some rubber lie down on it already. And I actually don't have a good answer for you there, Arjuna. It's probably all placebo into your head. Okay, it's a whole different session. It's a brand new. It's like turning the page to start a drawing on a fresh sheet of paper kind of thing. Some people think that might have a little bit of an advantage, but if everything is even as it should be, then it should all be the same as if you had just left the session before. Perhaps maybe the rubber on the track has a little bit of a different effect, but it's been a heavily debated conversation for all the years that I've been trying to do some Indy 500 qualifying.
I love the way that you put it, placebo, if I can get my words out from underneath me, because so much of sim racing sometimes feels like that, and at these speeds, well, sometimes you're unsure if it is placebo or if you've slightly done something on your setup. Robinson will now get underway with the first of his time lapse as he continues to roll around. 31 minutes left to go as we continue to tick away. This the 95th attempt of the day. Next up in the queue will be Micah Ahn, and then after that the 45 of Jordan Owens, the 16 of Jacob Oster, and then the 27 of Alexander Russell, followed by the 86 of Noah Carmichael. So a couple of fast machines potentially going to grace us with their presence as the day comes to an end, and Robinson down to turn 1 once more, Gary.
A couple things you said that maybe, oh, geez, gets right out to the wall. But a couple things you said that some people might be wondering if you're watching and you're not sure what they talk about, beating the gun or getting the gun. Actually, at the Speedway, there used to be back in the day, timing and scoring would stick a starter gun that you would hear in track and field out the window and fire it off, and that would end qualifications for the day. So you would often hear IndyCar drivers say about getting it in under the gun. That is literally where the saying came from, under the gun, meaning that you got your qualification run started before the gun went off. Once you're on the track, it's good, but after that, no one else can go. Another thing is he will big wide turn out there in turn 1, pushed out to the wall, having some struggles here. One of the other things you talked about is resetting the track state between sessions. Typically for real Indy 500 qualifying, they typically close the track after practice, do a full track inspection, which sometimes does involve them scrubbing the track down. So even for real IndyCar racing, you'll have a slight change in the track state between practice and qualifications because they do a full track inspection before they send the driver out to go as fast as they humanly can.
3 laps complete, and I don't think Michael Robinson is trending in the right direction. His 3rd lap if it's not in a 39.7, well, I was going to say it's already done, but yeah, 8.18 the average already. This is going to take a mighty fourth lap. He washes up to the wall, and this is where you can see, Andrew, just how uncomfortable he seems to be.
That's definitely the case, and I was going to say, if we watch his steering wheel, we probably see a little bit more movement. We see some kind of adjustments mid-corner, not really using a lot of the track there, so that's part of the issue, but I think the car itself is probably just lacking a little speed, probably has a little bit more aero on the car, but that's probably more from a comfortability factor and not really pushing the car to its limit. So, yeah, we'll have to see if Robinson can go back and make some adjustments and do another run perhaps tomorrow.
Well, he survives at the very least. That's the most important. That's 2 of his runs burned. 8.51 the average, and yeah, he is well off the pace. Now, next up, Jordan Owens, as we continue to rapid-fire run through. Why do we rapid-fire run through? Well, like Gary mentions, all these drivers want to try and get out before that gun goes off. Now, they can play some games and elect to withdraw at any time before they have left the pit lane, Gary. And so some drivers will be strategically deciding here if they really want to risk it. Remember, Jacob Oster, he's already in 9th. Does he want to really, from the outside of row number 3, withdraw his time and go once again? He's a braver man than me if the answer is yes.
I think he does, because I think of the inter-team rivalries of I5G, Power Slide, private label Team Hype, or Hyper Slide, as sometimes some people call it. But I think he will want to go back out there. But yeah, playing games and pulling your car in and out of line is effectively that happens in real IndyCar racing. You'll see Joseph Newgarden rush his car to the front of the line, and I'm not going to go now. And actually, I think Micah Iona is going back out now. But it happens in real IndyCar racing too. You present your car for a presentation, you're going to go, and they're like, nah, I'm going to go, I'm going to pull it out of line. And then what that does is, in real IndyCar racing, kind of delays the next car a little bit and kind of fools around by slowing things down. We don't necessarily have that here in the sim world, but it does happen in the real world.
Some colorful liveries on display, which is always great to see. The previous entry did look pretty good as well, even if maybe the speed wasn't necessarily there. Once more, head back out, and if you are wondering what track conditions are like, do you want to load up the sim maybe and try and beat the time that some of these drivers are throwing down there? Well, relatively low winds, which get to that in a second, but track temperature 49 degrees Celsius, which translates to Fahrenheit at a balmy 120. Interesting games here, Andrew, on display as Micah uses the access road through turns 3 and 4, shortening the distance that he travels on this outlap.
I'm kind of impressed. I've never tried that before, and I'm kind of sitting here wondering why I've never tried something like that before. But hey, if it makes you feel like you're faster, yeah, we're sitting on board here. Let's watch the hands, especially.
A lot of people were doing it early in the earlier sessions, going down to the, especially in 3 and 4. I didn't see very many people do it back on the 1 and 2 side. Obviously, they'd be up to speed, but always in 3 and 4, quite a few were going through the pit access road there.
Yeah, I think it's related to shorten the distance that the tires run, going back to just 10 miles on these 5 stones being quite brutal. So hold 4th gear until you come out of turn 2 and then start to climb and grab 5th, grab 6th, and then keep the foot pinned to the floor. And that's actually more difficult than sometimes it seems. With all the nerves, the adrenaline, your foot starts to shake both in virtual and reality. It can be difficult to commit down to turn 1 at 230 odd miles an hour, but that's a nice wide arc. You'll brush the wall, but you'll get away with that willpower style slide out through turn 2.
Yeah, willpower, Takuma Sato style coming off it too. But Andrew said that some of the most, and you even talked about it, how in one of your analogies early on in the broadcast, where you talked about one of the drivers that's been in this for a long time, said it was the most intense qualifying they've ever done. Scott Dixon, 6th IndyCar championship, 2nd all-time, only to A.J. Foyt in wins in IndyCar history, says that Indianapolis qualifying, the 10 miles, 4 laps, is the hardest thing that he still has to do. Scott Dixon says that. If Scott Dixon says that, you know it's real.
And the word there is has to do. There was a great interview with Catherine Legg after this year's qualifying weekend was coming to a close, and she said, well, that was the scariest thing that I've ever had to do. And had to, I think, was again inserted in there. And yeah, this is an intimidating thing to do.
And it says something when Scott Dixon, his nickname is the Iceman.
So Micah Arn's going to wrap up, I think, lap 2 on the run, and it hasn't been the quickest of runs. That's a 39.724 on lap number 2. And one thing that Andrew will see tomorrow is that if any of these drivers are slow on those first couple of laps, race control will wave them off and get someone else in the queue to head out on track and get things going. We're not seeing that today, though. Drivers are entitled to finish all 4 laps.
Well, when you have this many drivers signed up for an event and people are really scraping to get in, as we look at the tower on the left side there, look how close those times are. And I hate to harp on the steering wheel, but that's one extra little adjustment on the steering wheel in one corner of the track that can make the difference between 37th and 29th. So, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that it'll be a fast pace tomorrow, and I think that's really good for the competition's sake. Everybody, all 3 runs that they're allotted for, and take it from there. Going back to the previous discussion, I want to throw in the intensity of qualifying with Marcus Ericsson. We saw someone who didn't even complete their 4-lap run, came in 1 lap early,
Right.
and that just shows that you have to have such a focus to do it. And even us here make fun of it, but it can happen.
So you saw the big understeer through turn 1 on lap 4. However, 1, 2, 3, relatively consistent. At 4th lap, well, not what he needed to. And again, if this was tomorrow, he probably would have been waved off, and maybe even after the 1st lap, depending on how judicious race control is feeling. However, a bit more leeway given to them today. 23 minutes. Gary, does that mean a maximum of maybe 5, 6 more runs potentially left?
Yeah. I'm looking at his speeds here. It's very important that you got to bank your lap. And that's kind of using a Formula 1 term when they do qualifying. You got a banking lap. It's same thing here in qualifying for the 500. Put your lap in. You never know what's going to happen. Someone could withdraw. You could be all of a sudden back your way into being an alternate, so just do your lap. But we are running low on critical time. I know we got Jordan Owens getting ready to go on. He started on the front row in the Elite Racing League's Indy 500 twice here. What else we got in here that have presented? Alexander Russell, prepare yourself for a big lap there. Vitor Guilherme, I think, is in the session. Jacob Oster in the session. Casey Povolonis in the session. Dylan Freckleton in the session. So some big... let's call them very slick and smooth, fast car drivers out there that are prepared to take a last shot at this thing.
Again, just to update on the queue, last message from Race Control. The 45 of Jordan Owens is up next. After that is the Spaceman, Jacob Oster, Alexander Russell after that. And then it will be the 86 of Noah Carmichael. Here comes Jordan Owens. That was a good couple of minutes almost burned, so that doesn't bode well if you're someone who wants to try and sneak a run in today and go back to our qualifying format. Remember, times from day 1 gridded up in front of those on day number 2. This is going to be the 97th attempt of the day as Owens heads out and gets the 60-second outlap timer started. Andrew, it has been busy for Tanner Watkins at Race Control, running through everything. Almost as many attempts as we had in 2024 on day 1. More attempts than we had across of the entirety of 2022.
Tanner definitely keeps himself very, very busy, very, very occupied, but he also runs a tight ship, and he knows what he's doing. He's very, very experienced with this, and it seems like everybody's kind of kept their wits about them and are ready to go when they need to be. And if everything is labeled properly how to do it, then it should run very, very smoothly with little pushback. So Tanner's done a magnificent job, put a lot of effort in putting this together amongst his people he's working with. So I'm not surprised that we can get all these runs in without much hiccups at all.
Yeah, let's give a big shout out to Ryan Schuld as well, who's taken over a lot of the development side of growing this great event after yours truly had the responsibility, the honor, the privilege of running this event over the last couple of years. Well, Ryan has taken the ball along with Tanner and literally and metaphorically gone running with it. The number of awards that we have as Jordan Owens works the warm-up lap is numerous. And let's just talk qualifying awards here, because the pole sitter confirmed in less than 20 minutes time as that clock continues to tick down, will win a ring and sim racing gloves as part of the 4D Racewear Pole Award. That's a great package, and a shout out to Jim Herrick for putting that together. Then we also have the Dallara Front Row Award presented to each of the 3 drivers who qualify on the front row for the race. That, unfortunately, is one that we don't get to confirm until tomorrow. So Phil Kraus, Jason Brophy, we'll have to wait till tomorrow to see if they get that. Top Starting Rookie Award, the first-year driver with the best race starting position presented by Oil and Gas Safety Supply, and then the On the Bubble Award, which, Gary, let's be honest, no one wants to win that, but presented to the driver who qualifies in the 33rd position for the race. You will take it if you get it.
Hey, there have been a number of real-world IndyCar champions that have started back and have thanked the Lord, the racing gods, that they've started in that 33rd position. So if it's good for real-world IndyCar drivers and IndyCar champions, some of these sim racers are definitely going to take it.
I'm going to take the opposite. I'm going to take the opposite take here. I would be happy to start 33rd in this race if I'm anyone in the 34 to 40th spot right now that is just itching to get that last spot. So
right.
It does seem like a little bit of a joke, but I would absolutely be so happy to be starting 33rd in this race if I could just squeeze in.
Oh, no, I was not joking when I said you would take the award if you were in 33rd, because like you say, the honor of being part of the 5th running of the PRI Hoosier 500 next Sunday is something that a lot of these drivers do not take for granted. This is not a poor run to open things up from Jordan Owens. Now, this is his final run of the 3, so he has elected to push to the very end. 3-4-1 on the opening lap, 4-6-0 on lap number 2. It's putting him right now about 15th on the board, I'd say, Gary. Lap 3 about to be complete. This is a bold run to end day 1.
Yeah, I know this guy has pace. He started on the front row twice in the Elite Racing League in their Warriors for Peace IndyCar Series. Now, that was a fixed setup race, and we're in an open setup race here where everyone gets to kind of change anything they want on the car. In a fixed setup race, everyone is playing on a level playing field basically with the same setup. They can just change the tools in the cars, the roll bars, and the weight jacker to make their handling a little bit different. But everyone else has the same base setup, same wings, everything. So I know he has pace, and he's coming here for the white flag lap. Actually, this would be the checkered flag lap with a 5.77 on lap number 3, and we'll see how he slots in for the Little Eagle crew who's been struggling this month.
And so this will be it. He will watch tomorrow and find out where he will line up. He will slot in with the final lap punching in as a 6.90. It's a 5.17, so those last couple of laps trailing off slightly, and he finds himself, unfortunately, on the wrong side of the cut line, Andrew.
I was actually watching the hands, like we were mentioning before on that last lap, and it didn't seem like he hit the apexes too much, but he did the best he could. And it's very, very hard to hit the apexes and keep the car underneath you, but he made the best out of it. But I think it was just a smidge too slow. So yes, he was trending in the right direction, but unfortunately it was just not enough. And as I mentioned before, you see how close those times are at the bottom there. I'm not sure if I would have burned the last attempt today. Some people want to just know where they are today and then come back tomorrow and do something, or people just want to get out of the way. So, I wouldn't have gone out for the last one unless he felt super, super confident he'd get around like 24th, 25th, 26th or so.
Well, out onto track is the 16 of Jacob Oster representing Team I5G, the aerospace engineer who burst onto the scene by configuring an iRacing provided setup to go fast enough to qualify for the iRacing Indy 500. And since then, Team I5G have snapped him up, and he has continued to go from strength to strength. He will be another one that elects to use the shorter distance, as we will call it. This is permitted by the regulations, so nothing untoward by any means, but it's a slightly different I5G look compared to previous years. Powerslide have strength in numbers, but compared to that, Gary, it's a very different situation for Team I5G this year.
As someone that works in aerospace, you should never trust another person that works in aerospace. But that said, Jacob's a great guy. The I5G stands for the Indy 500 group, I believe. That's what they call themselves. This is their bread and butter. They might not do a lot of Indy Open or Indy Fix races during the calendar year. They'll participate in some, but every May, or when the Open Wheels was here, or the lineage of the Open Wheels coming into the PRI Hoosier 500, they're here to bring their A game, and they've not been at the same pace as the Power Slide and the private label Team Hype guys. So there's a little bit of inter-team rivalry. If the Power Slide private label Team Hype guys are your version of Team Penske, then we're very much looking at your Ganassi Racing here.
So the warm-up lap complete, run begins. And that is as close to the wall as you will get exiting through the short chute. That looked pixel perfect as now guides it onto this back stretch and continues to keep the car up high. And go back to the in-car tools. Andrew, weight jacker, anti-roll bar. You've got three things that you can be working on to keep the car planted to the ground, and it's on you, the driver, to figure out what it needs going into the next corner.
If you look at someone like Jacob Oster's and on the i5G group here, Indy 500 group team, and the Power Slide guys, you see how high they are in the standings, and they pretty much got their in-car tools figured out. So it's pretty much just second nature at some point to just click a button here, turn a dial here, move a switch here, and it's all good to go. If we're looking at someone like a Jordan Owens who is just out there and just barely missed out on making the field, there's probably a lot more button switching and, hey, how can I get my car to turn just a little bit more? How can I save my tires just a tiny bit more? So you definitely have a lot to play with, but I think these guys at the top of the field have a much better grasp on how their car is going to handle with certain tools differently than someone that's sitting in the 30s right now.
So lap one, he gained about 11 thousandths of a second compared to the run that put him 9th on the board previously. Lap two, he's found another 12 thousandths, so he's trending in the right direction, but again, this is where those tires are starting to scream out that little bit more. And if 9th was good enough previously, this could be a run that trends to put him inside of those front two rows, and that would start to displace some of those Power Slide teammates at the front, Gary, which could be important. 2.5 miles left in this run.
Yeah, be best in class right now, I guess. But it'll be breaking up the party for sure. But what he would really like is to have one of his teammates up there to join him as well. So at least it's not like a handicap wrestling match at the start of the race where it's 6-on-1 and he's the odd man out. So he is just about ready to complete this run. Half a lap to go. 39.4 on the third lap. And he is trending still a little bit faster, looking to pick up some spots here before we get into day two.
And so if lap 4 is not a drop-off, then this is trending really to be good. Heads back to the line, and remember, teammates cover the front two rows for the time being in the 3 wide starting formation. Oster breaks the yard of bricks, crosses the line, and as the time pops up onto the board, it's going to equal out as a 4:11, and now we've got 3 drivers all on that same time. Van der Sant, Olsen, and Oster. Oster provisionally down in third of that tie, but we'll wait for the tie to be broken, which is done on fastest lap and done manually by Tanner in race control. And now it queues up Alexander Russell. Andrew, that could be back-to-back fast runs as another driver from inside of the top 10 might elect to pull their time.
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot to say, hey, I'm sitting in the front 3 rows of the grid right now, let me pull my time. But I think it's more of a matter of put all your manpower as close together as humanly possible. And Russell, I'm sure, wants to be up there with Kraus, Brophy, Van der Sant, and push Oster down even more to try and prevent that surge of the Indy 500 group guys going in there. One thing, I do want to comment one thing about Oster's run, and just watching all 4 laps in particular, is I loved how Oster used every inch of the track. You saw all 4 laps there. He was hitting the right below the white line and going all the way up to the wall and keeping the wheel as straight as possible, which just gets a blast of speed down the straightaways. And some of these other cars we've watched have kind of pinched the exits a little bit, been a little bit off the wall. It's very easy to kind of have a mind lapse to do that. But Oster kept a very, very clean and free-flowing kind of line right out to the wall without touching it. And I knew that was going to be a really great run. I think he'll be proud of that one.
And so you'll keep an eye on the hands here of Alex Russell as he once more shortcuts the access road down at 3 and 4, and begins to unwind the car and build up speed, 200 mile an hour minimum on this warm-up lap. Confirmation from race control. Noah Carmichael next in line. Should get his run in. The next car is the 60. That's Ian Slager, who unfortunately might find himself on the wrong side of the gun. So going to be very, very tight in the time remaining here on pole day. And I think unless Alex Russell is going to put in the run of his life potentially after coming off his debut eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series campaign, racing for Tony Kanaan Esports no less as well. But this is a bit more where I think his bread and butter is becoming. The open wheels, combine that with the ovals and put it all together. Alex Russell 4 laps on the board as less than 10 minutes left on pole day, Gary.
Yeah, Alexander Russell, one of the newest members and additions to the Power Slide group, was picked up just right around the Indy 500 time in May. So he's one of their newest drivers, and we know he has pace. He had pace, was fastest in practice earlier in the week. I think on Wednesday he was the fastest in practice. And he is getting ready to complete lap 1. And, you know, I was here back. I'm old enough to remember when Tom Carnegie was on the PA here. And love listening to him say right when they took the green flag, right about this point, and he's on it. And listen to the timing and scoring report as he just set the fast lap of the session here this time around.
So Alex Russell, first time by, punches in what will be a 39.254. His first time by was a 2.84, so he was quick on lap 1 even in the previous attempt. Found a little bit more speed. Don't think it's in setup. It's all about that comfort in the driving and in the tools underneath him. Out of turn 4, excuse me. 2 laps about to be complete. And he's made it look rather simple for the most part. Hands looking very steady, I'd say, Andrew.
Definitely the hands are looking steady, and we're trying to see how much of the track he's using. He gets right up against the wall on the exit of turn 2 and turn 4 especially. Don't pinch the short shoots too much, but yeah, you can see the hands are very, very steady there. There's a few bumps on the back straightaway here, which upset it a little bit, but you can see it's turn, point the car, and just get out to the wall. And to do that without hitting the wall is not as easy as it seems.
One thing that you were talking about with bumps is that every one of those bumps, sometimes force feedback-wise, jolts you and unsettles you, and so some drivers will turn the force feedback off when it comes to Indy 500 qualifying, not dissimilar to what some of the top eNASCAR drivers have done over the years. It's been a decent run from Alex Russell across all 3 of the laps. There's been major improvements, and so the average previously a 39.418 from the former satellite racing driver. Now, as he sweeps out of turn 3 and 4, surely has not just put himself into the show, but might just have put himself inside of those front 2 rows. Will he drop Jacob Oster back down outside of the power slide lockout of the front 2 rows? The average, as we wait for the time to update, works out at a 3.89. He slots himself into second, and it's back to a front 2 row lockout for Power Slide Motorsports.
Wow, that's a 228.490 average.
That's a quick run, and I tell you what, he waited until the penultimate run, I think, of the day, and with the pressure on, Andrew, has surely locked himself into the middle of that front row.
That is so crazy how close that top 2 is there. The top 3, actually, all 0.005 of a second. That, like I said, that's just one extra little micro turn of the steering wheel. That's all it takes to get that little extra time. But again, we were watching a lot of those onboards and off the side of the car views, and you can see just how close to the wall these drivers get, and it's just all about maximizing the top speed and keeping the straight line speed going down the straightaway, if I said that right.
Oh, I picked up what you were putting down, as we often say. Next up is going to be Noah Carmichael in the Peak Performance East Coast Autosport. It's meant to be the 86. Not sure why it's showing as the 812 for us. Now, 5 and a bit minutes left to go. I think we might still sneak Ian Slager in, but don't hold me on that one. I've often been wrong. in the broadcast booth. As it sits right now, though, Gary, it's Matthias Strauss who finds himself in that uncomfortable position of being on the cut line in his track racer, Team Watson Racing number 28. I'm sure it's going to be a toss and turn night of sleep and then a anxious Sunday waiting until the gun goes off once more at 7:50 p.m. Eastern.
Or he can withdraw it and use another one of his attempts and try to go faster. There's always a gamble. It's not unlike to happen in real IndyCar history. I mean, going back to the very famous moment in 1996 when Scott Brayton withdrew his car. It was already on the front row, already on the pole, but he knew he could go faster, and he withdrew his car and put it back on the pole. And that's what made his run so exciting, and why everyone became really attached to him is because he just showed the as my ancestors used to say, the chutzpah of what it really takes to, you really want this. You have it in you, and you just got to go out there and do it. And he did it, and that's really why even Scott Brayton nowadays goes down into the lore and history of the 500 as just a brave driver, of someone that knew what he wanted, knew what he could get, and accomplished it.
The Finns call that sisu, I believe, as Noah Carmichael gets the run underway. And again, the seconds tick away. If he crashes inside of the next 3 minutes, which, knock on wood, I don't mean to put the curse of the commentator down on him, it would release the 60 of Ian Slager out onto track into what could be a crucial run. Not necessarily to put himself at the very front of the field, but again, those that set their fast times on day one, if they're in the fastest 33 times, well, you start in front of all of those that will run tomorrow and set their fastest times tomorrow. So there is plenty of importance to getting the job done today and giving yourself a little more to sleep about. 39.307. Andrew, it's a decent lap one, and he's well below the white line, cutting down from turn two. It's trending decently so far.
I actually like how much of the track that Noah is using. He might be listening to our broadcast and listening to my teeny little tips and tricks here. I'm not really sure if that's the case, but you can see he tracks right out to the wall there, turns in nicely for turn 4. If he tracks all the way out to the wall and just rides it down the front straightaway, that's going to launch you down the straightaway and give you all the speed possible. So I like what I see so far from Noah, and I think he might be squeaking in if all my fingers and toes are crossed properly.
Hey, Andrew, I think he put the most laps in practice, well over 500 laps.
Well, I think that will mean that he is our Ironman Award winner, presented by Oil and Gas Safety Supply and Derek Spear Design. Button box and cash given to the driver who completes the most laps in practice during the event. I hope they don't include Monday's practice, because that would be unfair to the drivers that unfortunately don't make it through the field of 33. A decent opening couple of laps, though. Maybe not as quick as Oster and Russell before him, but now it's 2.5 miles left to go. Carmichael once more into turn one in excess of 230 miles an hour as he tips the car in. Lap 3 is starting to drop off slightly, a 4.23. Gary, he's holding on lap 4.
It's typically the hold-on lap. That's when you just got you have all your tools. Hopefully you have a little left in your tools to help the car rotate. Sometimes your tires are all used up and your tools are all used up. So he just has one more quarter to go. Comes cleanly off of corner number 4, just down out of the white line, and he's staring at the checkered flag.
I like this lap.
I
like it.
Andrew likes it. What's it going to be? He lets the car roll to the middle where it naturally wants to go. 39.708, and it punches him into the show. 31st, he's on the last row, but he's in the show.
Look, Ma, I'm in. Well, for now.
For now, because that is a precarious place to leave yourself. He's got one more run left to use, but will he want to use it? 30 seconds left before the gun goes off, and if you're Ian Slager, you are rushing to the end of pit lane and hoping race control release you in the next 20 seconds in the Candid Badgers creation, WAC Productions Mid Motorsports number 60, off and away for what will be the final run here on what has been a truly momentous Swift Penguins Creations pole day. Gary, let's enjoy 10 more miles before we can rest for one more night.
Yeah, remember, he skidded it in before the gun. So this will, he will be the last one, and nobody else for the remainder of the day can go back out there and record a time. So this is the last driver that gets a last shot. And we've seen some real-world examples of the Indy 500 history of drivers being that last driver out there when the gun goes off to bump their way into the field. And the other guy behind him just doesn't have time. And we saw it happen with Graham Rahal not too long ago. So this is where the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat is all right here on this 10-mile run.
We'll go through our provisional starting grid at the end of pole day. We'll, it seems like, chat to a couple of our protagonists as well. We've got one final run before we can close the show. That timing now stuck at 0 minutes remaining, presented by Visitor Watch Company, as still building up the speed. And now you can hear the engine note begin to rise, and slowly but surely the speed will increase as well. This the first run of the day for Ian Slager, so if it doesn't go well, it's not the worst thing in the world, Andrew. He's got 2 more opportunities tomorrow to get it done.
Well, this is actually interesting. Doing your first run of the day, you have no idea what Ian can do, where he will be slotted in. He could be very fast. He could be kind of hanging out in the backfield. We don't know that. So I think this is a great last run of the day to really kind of see someone who may not have been in the field before, maybe sneak his way into some sort of competitive time here. So I'm very excited for this one.
Steady out through turns 1 and 2. Let's watch the hands here. And if you want a steering wheel with as many buttons as the virtual Cosworth unit does in the sim, well, SimLab is making a replica of that one. I'm sure it will cost a decent chunk of change. You can 3D print your own IndyCar wheel, as Jacob has done, which maybe we'll get the chance to chat with him. First lap complete, and well, I can tell you as we wait for the times to show up, and a big wiggle as well. It's a 39.705, and so Gary already not looking good. Ian Slager will have to re-rack tomorrow and try and get it done.
Got to bank it. Got to get it in anyways. But his right rear is very angry at him right now with the way he just about did a tank slapper coming off a 2 in the South Short suit. He needs to hopefully just cool that down and take it easy over the next couple of laps and just bring it home and get a banked qualification attempt in. Otherwise, the run's for nothing at this point.
Do you think this sounds like a tinkering in the garage all day situation, Gary? I got to put my car together somehow. Let's just put a bunch of screws and bolts and washers in here and get this car ready to go, and goes down the track, and it's not that quick, and it slides everywhere. How does that feel, you think?
It's like Siegel in his attempt. I'm definitely taking my hat off at his virtual bravery here. And we know what the real-world bravery of Siegel was.
Oh, it's to the
there
wall!
He goes, into the wall!
And that will, at this point, call the run complete. And so as Ian Slager limps around the track, let's take this opportunity to drag in, at this point, our confirmed pole sitter for the 2025 PRI Hoosier 500. It is the iRacing Indy 500 winner, Rob Malechka, that gets it done. And Rob, I know pole position is not the be-all and end-all, but it's looking like the Powerslide Motorsports team is in a very strong position. How are you feeling as our 4D Racewear Pole Award winner?
Yeah, firstly, gotta thank Jason a lot. Him and I probably put 10, 15 hours on the setup. Some really late nights for us, and we just kind of kept finding time. Every 1,000 counts, as you can see here. But nonetheless, it was. I think we have a top 6 lockout for the team, and maybe 8 in the top 10, roughly that. So, obviously a really good showing for us. And, hopefully this can carry over for the pros for us as well. But yeah, a really good start at Indianapolis for us.
Let's talk about the big change on Tuesday. A hybrid unit being added to this Dallara IR18, and all those race setups that you've won the Open Wheels 500 with as a team, the iRacing Indy 500s with, they go out the window and you start from scratch. How much of a challenge is that? How much of is it a benefit that you've got the strength in numbers heading into this, I'm sure, stressful week?
Yeah, I don't really know what others think, but I know we're really looking forward to it. This car's been a bit stagnant the last 4 or 5 years, and to get such a massive update right before our biggest race of our year. It's going to be really important to us to grind away as a team, put some really efficient hours in, and hopefully at the end of the day, Sunday noon, we have a race-winning setup.
Well, Rob, before we let you go, I've got to also ask you, what do you think the cut line's going to be tomorrow? You don't have to stress about that. The rest of the field still does a little bit.
I mean, to me, looking at it right now, I think it's going to be hard for it to be higher than a 4.8. So I'm going to say probably like a 4.82, 4.83. Because I know there's some really quick guys that still have to go that couldn't make it today. So, and of course, others that are on the bubble or outside looking in can definitely make setup gains. So, we see that every year on the open side of things and every year in real life. So, hopefully it's a really good show tomorrow, and made the best 33 make it.
Well, Bump Day will be exciting. One driver that won't be stressed is Rob Malechka, your 2025 PRI Hoosier 500 pole sitter and the winner of the 40 Racewear Pole Award. Let's catch up with Alexander Russell, who had the pressure on him in the final hour, electing to withdraw the time. He pushed it into the middle of the front row. He's standing by with Gary Godso.
Alexander Russell, congratulations, provisionally second. Good way to start the Indy 500 with not a lot of dirty air in front of you, but talk about that run. Very much, I was mentioning Scott Brayton and his run back in 96, where he withdrew a good run with the gamble of going faster. And there was no guarantee that you were going to go faster on your next run, but you did it, you delivered, and you went from where you were to provisionally second. How'd you feel? I mean, it was a big gamble.
There was a lot of hesitation, a lot of pondering. I knew I had more in the car, especially after my first run. I felt unsatisfied. And anybody who knows me knows qualifying is my worst skill. I'm so bad at qualifying, and so it was the kind of thing of, oh, can I deliver under pressure? I don't know. We're starting in a good spot, or provisionally, and I just said, we're gonna do it. We're just gonna do it and see what the car has, see what I have in me. And I was so close. I was so close to it. I tried.
Well, you're gonna, looks like, get a good start out of this thing now. What's the plan now with the car that's gonna get a change here soon? How much work can you actually put in the race setup, or is it just, I guess, work on the strategy and then maybe work on the setup when the new car becomes available?
I think it's gonna be try and get some provisional work done, just see what this current build has, and maybe take a different approach here and there and see. I know that strategy is going to be something probably discussed more next week, but I think that having this front row really opens up a lot of opportunity to do something.
Well, there you go. Back to you, Arjuna. Guy starting second, second best seat in the house come race day.
In the middle of that three-wide formation, it will be a beautiful sight. Clean air in front as they slide into turn one. Let's catch up with, well, next up in our queue would be Jason Brophy lining up on the inside of row number 2, standing by with Andrew Wood.
Jason, Andrew here up in the booth. Kind of talk about how your day went. I know your first run really didn't go to plan. Did that put you back at all, or did you feel like you were missing a little bit there and feel like you had to really make up a lot of ground?
So starting the day, going into today, I was actually the fastest going into today, but with some stuff we found during the day, Rob, that 385 I couldn't touch. My best overall run was a 387, I think. But then I started my day dipping under 199 on my first lap, and in the end, it didn't cost me anything. Like, I would have been happy with that run. I was disappointed with the 404, but just the stress, especially going on my second. This is the first time I think I've ever done a second attempt in a Hoosier. I've only started the race twice, but I've always been one and done. So the first time I've ever done a second is just far more stressful. So it's a slower run, and just, I wasn't ready for it as well. Don't think I lost anything out of it. Russell put down a great lap there, and really the top three guys are very fast. So, losing the top three starting spot kind of sucks in that regard. But I'll take finishing where I deserve to finish, which is fourth quick based on the runs I did today. Stressful, definitely. It didn't lose me any spots, but maybe some years off my life.
Well, I actually do want to ask you too, Jason. Compared to previous iterations of this race that we've done before, the Open Wheels 500, what has the team dynamic been like this year compared to previous years? Is there more of a team effort that's putting everything together, focusing mostly on qualifying? Is there a big race component or something like that's making everybody come together a little bit more? What do you think is attributing to the front row lockout as we sit right now provisionally for the Power Slide team hype guys?
Well, I mean, the Pro Series is coming, right? And so there's been a lot of people working on the Pro Series. Race set stuff, not really anything to do. They're updating the car on Tuesday, so, just some anticipation, but you kind of got to wait till the update comes out and scramble. And I think we have really good manpower to do that, really good minds. A lot of the teams really been focused on the Pro Series qualifiers. Rob and I have put quite a bit of effort in just, making sure the setup was as good as it could be relative to, be as good as it could be for our expectations, while those guys and help with those, but to give us a shot once that ended on Thursday. Got some people in, and then hey, had a successful race here too. So having the number of bodies we do really helps spread the load a bit. So good run out, everybody. Setup was really good. It was pretty consistent. It is funny to see how I could go from really on driving and then suddenly lose it, and it's 300s a lap. And you just shift between that. It's so sensitive to your driving, your wheel out input, getting into the corner, scrubbing off the corner. Very sensitive, very tough to be consistent run to run. And I think I over prepped for my second run. Not that it really mattered based on those guys' times, but you start to drive the car instead of feel the car, and you lose a little bit of time. And I went through a period yesterday even where I just lost two plus hundreds a lap, and I just could not find it. And then all of a sudden it just picked back up. Remembered how to drive, and got a feel for the car again, got a feel for the front of the car and everything, and I was just tracking well. And it's funny how much the driving matters, and how much, even though this was probably one of the more stable with the updates, setups, but there was a lot of time to be had just getting the driving right. As you can see, the top, fastest guys, you have a Coke driver, two guys that qualified for the Pro Series and stayed over top 12. So those guys, really are the fastest, I think, one lappers. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason, great job today. You're provisionally sitting on the front row, and that's a great effort by the team in general. Thank you for coming in here today. We're going to throw it back to Arjuna.
Let's catch up with Jacob Oster, who for a moment had broken the stranglehold of Power Slide Motorsports in the front two rows. But Jacob, you will provisionally line up 7th as things stand. I'm not expecting you to pull your time and go again tomorrow, but what does this leave you and the Team i5G crew in a position to do heading into race week and into the 5th running of the PRI Hoosier 500?
Well, I'll admit I was a little disappointed in myself because I sent Jason Brophy a screenshot of my last practice time, and it was a 3:99, and I was like, I'm coming for you, and apparently it didn't work. But I'm happy that we got all of us in the show. I know we've had some close moments the last couple years just because of how this format is different than it is in May. You only get 3 solid attempts, and all those 3, there's no takebacks and there's no do-overs. You gotta go. So it takes a lot to make sure we have a solid car for everybody to just handle all these laps, because there's a lot of different philosophies that you can take in that don't apply here that apply in May, and vice versa in terms of how you set up the car and go fast. But I'm just glad we found some good speed and kind of broke up the Power Slide monotony. I wish that was a row 2 start, but I'll just take what I can and see where it goes.
And new car update coming on Tuesday. We've already talked to plenty of the Power Slide drivers about that. So my question is going to be slightly different to you, because you've come close before in these iRacing Indy 500s. What do you think you need to do on Sunday? Strategy, race set wise, what are those crucial elements that you're going to be trying to chase in the next week?
I really just think it's positioning. I lost out in 2022 due to positioning on the last lap. I lost out in 2024 because I ran too aggressive too soon at the end, trying to make up spots and got aero blocked. And then this year I kind of just got boxed in by 3 Power Slide cars and only got the 5th. But it's just all positioning. That's all this race is. It's a fuel save race, and it's just positioning yourself for that last stint. No matter if it goes green or not, and just adapting to the changes that come up, because it can go green for 150 laps or 180 laps, and then it can go into chaotic mode. And you just got to be able to adapt and fire yourself through and be in the best spot you can at the end.
Thinking ahead already. Thanks for the time, Jacob, and congrats on a great pole day and provisionally locking yourself into the field of 33.
Thank you, Mr. Arjuna.
Let's catch up with Noah Carmichael, who provisionally is on the last row, but will that last tomorrow morning? We'll wait and find out. He's with Gary.
Hey, Noah, we talked earlier in the week. 500 laps plus this week for preparation into this thing.
Hang on a sec. I'm sorry. I just realized my mistake. Hang on 1 second. I'll explain it. All right. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah, 500 laps of total practice. Talk about your preparation here. I mean, 500 laps. Did that really help you kind of find some extra speed enough to get into the field, you think?
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I muted my audio for that qualifying run in case any notifications came through. Can you guys try talking now? I'm so sorry.
Okay,
there we go.
Talk about all the extra laps of practice you did. Talk about how that possibly may have helped you.
I'd say more so it helped just getting the laps in, just being able to understand what worked and what didn't, and to kind of build that confidence because, like I mentioned to Gary on Tuesday, we're out here racing with the best of the best. Like, these are the most elite guys that this service has to offer, and a lot of them didn't show up throughout most of the week because of the fact they all have representatives that can go out there and make those cue sets for them while they go work on other things, whether it's the Pro Series or stuff like that. So it was always that question of, where we're going to be. So the only way you're really going to be able to go out there and, get as much experience to catch up to them is just by churning laps over and over and over again. So anytime I was not at work, anytime I was awake, there was a car in the server and I was either trying to split hairs, trying to figure out where I could find 100th of a second, or, just going out there and churning as many laps as I could to try and find what line, what curb to hit, just putting this car exactly where it needs to be to where I don't scrub any speed off. And I gotta say, I've never felt so good to be last. This is such a crazy feeling. I understand now what guys like Connor Daly and Jack Harvey always talked about. They even only give us a 10th of a percentage. Those guys that always are fighting for the last row and they're celebrating more than the guys who are on the pole. I was so upset with how this morning went. I thought about that all day while I was at work, and I just had a measure can I just go? It was I need to go. And it's yeah, you can go. So I just came back, and as soon as I got home, got immediately on the sim, and I think I cut another 40 laps of practice just trying to piece together what mistakes I made. So just to be able to even say I'm on the last row right now is a pretty significant, special meaning to me, just to be able to say I'm in the show right now.
I'm going to toss it back to you, Arjuna, but Carmichael's in the field for now with a speed of 227.883. But I think I've heard a growing trend when talking to these drivers. The pressure is real.
Oh, it is real, and the best in the sim racing world say that. Imagine what some of the rookies to the Hoosier 500 feel. One final chat. Let's catch up with Alexis Newsom, standing by with Andrew Wood.
Alexis, I'm here. Watching you on row 3 right now, sitting in P9. Talk to us a little bit about how your day went and how much effort was put in amongst the team to ensure that you got in the first 3 rows on the first day.
Hey, Andrew. Yeah, it was quite a bit of effort. We didn't start that long ago, but we put a lot of effort in the past few days. It was mostly Jacob, though. He found the most of the time. Yeah, he actually found a bunch of time, and for some reason the time he found made me slower, so I had to split off on our sets, so we were on two completely different sets at the end. But yeah.
Do you feel like that there was more in your car? Do you think that you could have maybe gotten a couple spots higher with maybe a couple less mistakes in the run, or did you feel like you had the run that said, okay, I did the best I could, I'm calling it for the day, and I know I'm right where I want to be, and be settled for tomorrow?
Well, I really just wanted to be in the top 9. Obviously I'd want to be higher, but I thought my ceiling was probably 6th. My first lap was a little off by a couple hundreds compared to offline testing. But my other laps were great, and that was my best 4-lap average I've done all weekend. So I was pretty happy with it, but obviously you always want more.
Of course, you're sitting in the top 3 rows as we speak right now, so I don't think you have to worry about anything for tomorrow unless something goes completely rattled. So great job today, Alexis, and we'll hope to see some higher spots for you come race day. So thanks for joining me. I'm going to throw it back to Arjuna.
The first female champion in the Lionheart Racing Series going back a couple of years ago. Quick rundown then of the starting grid. Remember, provisionally, only Rob Malechka is locked in as our 4D Racewear Pole Award winner with a blistering time of a 39.385, equates to an average speed of about 228.5 miles an hour. It's a power slide trio that lock out the front couple of rows, though Alex Russell, Phil Kraus split row 1 with Malechka. Jason Brophy, Alex van der Sant, and Hugo Olsen will share row 2 before the first non-power slide driver. It's Jacob Oster. He's got Jeff Drake, yes, power slide driver Jeff Drake, in the middle of a Team I5G bread sandwich. Alexis Newsom on the outside. Josh Chin, Adam Blocker, and Chad Simpson just outside of the top 10 as we begin to work our way through the field. Some of these drivers surely safe, the likes of Ryan Campbell, Christian Steele, and maybe even Matt Taylor, but as you work your way a little bit closer down to the likes of AJ Mussman, Andrew Marquez, Brendan Lichtenberg, Rashad Craig, and Blaze Andrich, the rest of the top 20 will be looking over their shoulders with slight nerves. Seb Alexander, Dylan Freckleton, Ty Keeler, Casey Paul Vlones, and then Carl Klendworth. Those are the drivers that Rob Malechka has predicted will be just inside of the cut line, while Ricky Paz would be the driver on the bubble. Lucas Lodato, Logan Edwards, Nick Lodgke, Nathan Paris, Noah Carmichael, Logan Simmons, and Will Weiser. That would be the field of 33 if they lock themselves in today. At the end of Swift Penguins Creations pole day for the 2025 PRI Hoosier 500, but plenty more action to come tomorrow. Don't forget to join the team on the Hoosier 500 channels throughout the day before. Primetime coverage, 7 p.m. once again Eastern on the PRI channels. Join myself, Arjuna Kankipati, alongside of Gary Godso and Andrew Wood as we walk you through the final hour of qualifying on bump day. The nerves will build, the tension will rise, and we'll lock that field of 33 in. For the time being, it's goodbye for now. A great day of qualifying in the books, but we'll see you tomorrow to continue the action here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.